Hello and welcome to another episode of the A-10 Insider Podcast here on the Field of 68 Media Network. My name is Rob Dawson. That gentleman you see with me is Jeff Gooden, and we got a banger for you today, guys. St. Louis head coach Josh Schertz joined us for about almost a half hour, Goodman, talking about Robbie Avila, talking about this team that he's put together, talking about how they've developed a defensive identity and everything that's gone into the fact that this is a team that is now 19-1 with the one loss being a freak ending against Stanford.
Yeah.
Where St. Louis fouled up three, Stanford made a free throw, missed the second, and somehow got a three from the corner off with I think it was like 1.7 seconds left on the clock. One of the wildest innings in college basketball this season. Josh Schertz, man, he's different than a lot of coaches you're going to find in college hoops.
He's elite. I mean, I know we use that word a lot, but look at what he did at Lincoln Memorial. Look at what he did at Indiana State, which is one of the toughest jobs in the Missouri Valley, to flip that thing. And look at what he's doing at St. Louis right now in year two. And year one was obviously a tough year, and they still won 19 games, but they were injury ravaged from the first moment we saw him at our event in Sioux Falls when Robbie Avila got hurt with the ankle injury. So, Josh Schertz he's fun, he's loose, but he's also a guy that, again, and we'll talk a little bit about this, kind of his personality, how he can be a player's coach, but still, and he reminds me kind of some of those old school guys, hold these guys accountable and be able to kind of flip the switch a little bit here. What he's done this year, what this team has done this year, absolutely remarkable, putting themselves in a great position, Rob, right now to get at large.
Yeah, I think that as long as they don't do anything dumb the rest of the year, that they're locked in feels too hard. But
you can't ever say locked in. There's too much time left in the season to say that with anybody not named, Arizona or Michigan right now.
Yeah. But they're in a very, very good spot, and based off the way that the end of their season seems likely to
how
go.
cool will it be, Rob? How cool will it be? And again, I'm knocking on wood here, to see Robbie Avila get to the NCAA. We've talked to him about this numerous times this year. See him get to the tournament finally in his final season with Josh Schertz, where they've been, like frickin' frack, like for the last 4 years.
You know what's weird about it? He kind of became this internet sensation 2 years ago that everybody loved.
Yeah.
And as St. Louis has gotten better, I thought that would become more of a thing, and it's like it's not.
He doesn't want it. He doesn't. He could really take advantage of it if he wanted to, right? He could lean into it and the NIL stuff and everything like that. But that's what makes him and this team special, is like he has fun, but when it gets down to it, he just wants to win.
Yep. And they have a very good chance to win this season. Why? Well, Josh Schertz talks all about it here. Let's get to that interview. St. Louis head coach Josh Schertz. And now let me welcome on to the A-10 Insider Podcast, none other than Josh Schertz, St. Louis head coach. And Schertz, I can't remember if we talked to you in the preseason or if this was earlier on in the year, but I remember you saying, I really like this group because we are going to be able to actually have depth and guys are actually going to be able to rest. And sometimes when you hear that from coaches, you're like, yeah, he's just saying depth. This is like everybody wants to play faster in the preseason. But you're sitting here at 19-1 right now, and your one loss, not to bring up bad memories, but the one loss is on one of the craziest shots that we've seen in college basketball this season. How has it happened, and how have we gotten to this point?
No, well, thanks for having me on.
Our second, by the way, Rob didn't intro you the right way. Our second favorite Billiken after Robbie Avila.
Oh, that's the fact that I almost debated not coming on because he's been on the show. It really reduced the status. I was pretty excited that I heard he was on. Almost was like, does it diminish the stature of the program? But I'm going to come on anyway. I'm going to do it.
Appreciate
it. I'm glad to be on. I think Rob, like everybody says that, as you say, depth and everybody likes their team in the preseason. I think the thing that we thought and you don't know is we knew we had a lot of good players and we knew we had a deep team, but it's different to have depth and then I think like a lot of times, your greatest strength can be your greatest weakness. If those guys aren't willing to sacrifice, aren't willing to give up minutes, aren't willing to give up shots, aren't willing to, we don't have anybody averaging 26 minutes a game.
Crazy.
And so like we have 6 guys averaging double figures, 8 guys averaging over 8 points a game, and they're all sacrificing and giving it up. And in any climate, that's uncommon. In this world, man, is that uncommon? So that was, I knew we had depth. I just didn't know if guys would be able to manage. We want guys who are super ambitious, but they can't have agendas. It's hard to manage ambition versus agenda. These guys have done it beautifully. They've embraced and accepted roles, and they've given up for each other, and that's made it work.
Is it easier though when again you go to Robbie and you have a talk with him about, hey, you know what, you're probably not going to average 17, 18. Your minutes are going to be down a little bit. And he's so good, and we give him a lot of crap, but he is like the ultimate team guy. He's super smart. He understands what that's going to. It's like having another coach, isn't it? In a way.
Yeah. No, he's one of one. I mean, truly, I know, I bust his chops all the time, but I mean, he is a one of one. Like we sat down last year, he averages, 17 and a half, 7, 4 assists, leads the country for bigs in made threes and assists. I think it's the second year in a row he's done it, right? And our conversation, NIL conversation, was, Rob, this is how much money we have in NIL. This is the percentage of that money I can give you and still field a NCAA tournament caliber team. And Rob looks at it, he goes, okay. And there wasn't, hey, I'm going to check the market. I'm going to hold you hostage. I want to do this. I want to check and see what. Literally, the conversation, I promise you, was 5 minutes long.
That's
and
crazy.
Said, crazy. Like, I mean, one of one. Literally, one of one is. I said, this is what we have. This is what I can pay.
Does he have an agent? Does he even have an agent?
He has an agent, but the agent deals with the off-course stuff. I've never spoken to his agent. His marketing is awesome. I've never spoken to his agent, not one time.
I would, if I were him, I would fire his agent right now. I would fire his agent. I would hire me, and I'm going to threaten to sit out the rest of the season unless you give Robbie fair market value.
Fair market value. I agree. That's about what 99% of college basketball is
amazing
doing.
Though.
Yes. So he's one of one, and we treat him fairly. But like literally, I said, look, I've studied the NBA. I showed him this is the percentages, is what we can pay you, and still build a competitive team around you. And then when we had the group, I talked to him about less being more. He's playing so many minutes last year. He had so much on his plate. We were decimated by injuries. We only had 9 guys dressed most of the year. Some of those guys couldn't even practice. By the end of the year, Rob was a shell of himself. He had tendonitis in both his knees. He had the ankle injuries. He was struggling. He's playing 36 minutes a night, which that's hard. And he's got everything on his plate. And so I said, hey, less will be more for you. And he sets the whole tone because he sacrifices so nobody else can complain about sacrificing.
That's right.
He allows me to coach him hard. Nobody else can complain about me coaching them. He sets the tone for everything we do. And like you said, he's not only he's brilliant, he's a brilliant basketball mind, but he's got a coach's mentality. He brings the vision for what we want to be as a program, what we want to do culturally, how we want to play systematically to life. He coaches the guys. He understands the ins and outs of everything. And his sacrifice, he's gone from playing, 35 minutes a night to 25 minutes a night. He's, his numbers per 40 are up, but his numbers overall are down. Yeah. And he has not once come to me and been like, hey man, I should play more. Like if it's a blowout, he'll sacrifice the minutes for the other guys and play 20 minutes and he's fine with it. And so everything starts with his commitment and sacrifice, from the way we were able to build our team to the sacrifice these guys are making now. He sets the tone for the entire thing.
Schertz, you've kind of gotten this reputation, and I blame I'm not saying I'm giving credit. I'm blaming CJ Moore for kind of establishing this reputation of being this offensive mastermind, right? But I look at the the way that this team is built, and I think the reason you guys have been able to take this biggest step is probably because you're better defensively.
Right.
Goodman, I'm going to teach you. Goodman's big into analytics now, Schertz. I don't know if you
Huge.
Really, he's moved on.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
yes.
you're talking about a 180 from a guy who usually is struggling to add. Now he's doing analytics. That's incredible.
So I went back in Ken Palm's database, and I don't think that there is a team that has ever led the nation in both effective field goal percentage and defensive effective field goal percentage. Goodman, that means your field goal percentage when you include the fact that threes are worth more than twos. Okay.
Yep.
That's about it, right, Schertz?
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yes.
The only other two that were close was the Gonzaga team that had Drew Timme and Chet Holmgren and Andrew Nembhard. They were pretty good. And last year's Duke, they were pretty good too. How have you done this? Like, where has this come from on the defensive end? You've been able to do it with Robbie on the floor. How have you done this? How have you played
No. Well, let me first say the offensive
They're
mastermind.
calling him a liability like this. I'm not going to stand for this slander. He's not even here to defend himself. I mean, come on.
Defend. See, that's the word. That's the operative word.
That's right. That's right.
No, but the offensive mastermind piece. I have done yeoman's work creating that perception. I've been all over banging the media drums. So that's not CJ. That's just me getting out and on burner accounts, tweeting that stuff out. So that's what it is. It's all my burner accounts. So that's what that is. The defensive piece is interesting. You know, we underratedly, now nationally, it wasn't as good at Indiana State, but we were number one in the Valley in defensive efficiency in 23-24, and we were fourth in the A-10 last year. The biggest jump, honestly, Rob, has been because I think two things have happened. One is we were able to go out and really improve our athleticism and our positional size across the board, with the exception of, Trey Green. Everybody else was, we got bigger and more athletic at all the spots. And so we have really good cumulative positional size, across the board. The underrated thing about Robbie is he's not an elite individual defender in terms of like his athleticism or his quickness. He's always been great at defending around the rim and making people miss. He puts his body in there. He understands angles. His knowledge, his basketball IQ in terms of team defensive concepts. He's always been great there, which is why he's kind of anchored some pretty good defenses, 23-24, 24-25. But this defense, we are so versatile in what we can do. We can switch so much. Amari McCautry, 6'6", he plays and can guard 1 through 5. Paul Otieno can guard 1 through 5. Quentin Jones, 6'5", Brady Dunlap, 6'8", Inshawn Sharma, 6'6". We've got so much versatility, Deion Brown's versatility. There's a lot of different reasons, but I think we got a lot of guys that can guard at point of attack. We can switch a lot of stuff, which flattens people out. We've got great length in the perimeter, which allows us to contest. And then our guards can really rebound. When you look at it, Rob's not a guy who gobbles a lot of rebounds, but he's a terrific box out guy. And then we got a lot of guys coming down that can go get it. Deion Brown leads us in rebounding, and then Kellen Thames, Amari McCautry. We got a lot of guys in that 6'6" range that give us an incredible versatility with how we can play. And then the last piece, which I think is super important, is how smart our guys are. We've got a really high IQ group that allows us in games to do a lot of different things. And we went to St. Bonaventure with what I thought was a pretty complicated game plan, only 1 day of preparation, and they went out and executed flawlessly. Richmond, hard to Princeton, 1 day of preparation. Guys went out and executed, didn't give up a back cut all day. And so their ability to process and apply what we're doing is at the highest level. So I'd say it's a combination of those things.
So Josh, you're 18-1. You're one of, I think, 11 teams that are left. 19-1. Sorry, 19-1.
Shortness wins always,
One of 11 teams, I believe.
Hey, there's the analytics for you, Josh. There's the analytics.
He subtracted one win.
Yeah,
he's gonna add it back somewhere.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right, the numbers though. In the net, you're 19. I believe in Ken Palm, you're 24. Rob will correct me or update me because he checks it every 4 minutes.
I have a page up right now. I'm looking right at it. It is 24.
Is it 24 still? Yeah. 24. Not a lot of teams played today. We're recording on Sunday. Did you think that you would be in this position here midway through the A-10 slate where we're talking about an at-large and these games, each one of them, because it's really hard to do. I mean, how hard it is people aren't going to really want to play you. You know, the high majors, you can't get a lot of these teams to play you. Where you're at now, did you envision this, or do you still look at those numbers and you're shocked at kind of where you are?
You know, I thought we did really well in the portal. You know, I thought, you know, it was kind of like the Indiana State team in 23-24. You know, you get Ryan Conwell, you get Isaiah Swope in the portal. You know, you return a number of guys. We returned that year Robbie and Jason Kent and Julian Larry and Xavier Bledson. And you're like, man, I think we got, if these transfers are as good as I think they are, you know, we got a chance to be really good. And it worked out perfectly, you know, pieces fit. I thought when we finished, you know, we got 6 guys in the portal and we felt great about all of them. And we were done like in the early April. We were done like right after the Final Four. All 6 were committed, signed. And I felt great about that. But then you never know, like, how are the pieces going to actually fit together? Because as you know, recruiting in the portal is speed dating. And you don't know until you coach them and you have them. And honestly, you don't even know then until you go through adversity with them what they're like. So, you know, yeah, I watched Trey Green in high school and thought he was a really good fit. And I recruited Ishan Sharma to Indiana State and he went to Virginia. But like Brady Dunlap, you know, I didn't know him, you know, and we bring him in and, you know, he was hurt some last year, played a little bit of St. John's, you know, Dion Brown and Paul Otieno and Quentin Jones. And like I said, I loved in terms of, you know, the evaluation and getting to meet them and thought, man, we did really well. But it's not possible to go 6 for 6 in the portal, right? I mean, it's impossible. And, you know, you look up and we went 6 for 6. And all 6 of those guys were playing major minutes. They're all huge parts of what we're doing. And then, you know, Kellen Thames returned from, you know, he went down after 4 games last year. That's been massive for us. We didn't know if he'd be able to play again. And then obviously Robbie and Amari made a big jump. Robbie, we knew, was kind of the linchpin. And so I didn't, you know, think, man, we'd be 19-1 and you know, where we are at the moment. But I thought we did well. You're always like, there's something we're missing. You know, there's something that's going to happen. There's always these unforeseen circumstances in a season. And we were really lucky that all 6 of those guys that we got in that portal class, just like in the last one at Indiana State, each guy, Jake Wolf is in that class as well. Those guys, every one of them fit us as a player and fit us as a cultural piece. And when they came in, and then they're all, like I said, the hardest part with Rob's question about the depth is all the guys being willing to give it up and do that. Yeah. How are they going to do there? I mean, you got guys like Ishan Sharma and Brady Dunlap. You know, Ishan has 29 points against St. Bonaventure, makes 9 threes. He played 24 minutes. You know, he's coming from Virginia, you know, and he's coming off the bench for us. And Brady Dunlap's coming from St. John's. He's coming off the bench for us. Yep. And Paul Otieno's 2-time first-team All-League at Quinnipiac. He's coming off the bench for us. And those guys sacrificing and doing what they're doing, I mean, that I didn't know. I couldn't have projected that. I hoped, but you never know.
All right, so we got a new segment here, Schertz, that we're doing on the A-10 Insider, where we open it up for fan questions, and we have one coming in from one St. Louis fan. He wants to know why you held the team hostage today in the middle of the tundra, and why you hate football and you wouldn't let them watch the game.
Is that Robbie questioning in? Is he actually?
Yes.
You know,
I cannot reveal my sources.
Hey, tell Robbie that, you know, I knew. He's a huge Broncos fan, Broncos fan.
Really?
So I didn't want to have him, you know, feel the pain of watching Jarrett Stidham quarterback the team and lose to Goodman's, because I knew Goodman had a great defensive game plan lined up for Vrabel, and I knew the Patriots were going to win. So I was actually helping ease his pain so we could just see it on the way out as opposed to having to live it.
I think Stidham needed Robbie's goggles for that snow game. But I think maybe that he could have actually seen his receivers.
He saw the Denver. Obviously, he saw the Patriots. Defensive backs, cornerbacks. Yeah, right.
He saw way
and
too
the
much
safeties. Yeah, he saw them. He just didn't see his own guys.
All right. So, what's been the most fun of this ride, Josh? You know, again, I could tell how much you like this team. Yeah. And again, we're coming to the stretch drive of the end of Robbie's career. And we asked him earlier, we said, who's going to cry more on senior night? Who's going to cry out of the two of you?
My wife will cry the most by far. She already cries when she brings it up, so she'll cry the most. Natalia will cry the most. Hey,
she's going to miss him way more than she would miss you, correct?
100%. Oh, not even close. Not even close. She would trade. If it was my senior night, they could get rid of me and keep him. She would 100% sign up for that.
I will say this, Josh, and I know we're going off here a little bit on a tangent, but in all my years of covering this sport, Josh, I'm not kidding. Like he might be, I mean, he's top 5 for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, Hummel was top 5 until I had to do a podcast with him. And
Yeah.
now
You got to
he's
know him. It's
unbearable.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, I know the real him. And now Hummel's just an asshole. I mean,
Just
he's just
drops
an
like an
asshole.
anchor. Yeah. Drop down the bottom of the list. I could, yeah.
He's phony. Everything about him is phony. No, but seriously, I mean it. Robbie's just like you've said, he's one of one. He's just, I'm going to miss him. I can only imagine what it's going to be like for you. But going back to my original question, like, why has this group been so much fun? You mentioned the unselfishness. What else about it?
I think, to touch quick on Rob's deal, I feel a tremendous amount of responsibility to a lot of people to make this year right. We have great fans here at St. Louis, administration that gave me an opportunity here. There's nobody I feel a bigger responsibility to for this thing to go well than Robbie. Yeah. Out of everybody, like my responsibility to him, that trumps, my AD, I don't care who. My responsibility to him is greater than
he was
anybody
loyal.
else.
He was so loyal to you.
Yeah, so loyal to me, and I want him to end on the right note because he deserves it, and I want to do everything in my power to make sure that he ends his career and capstones it the way he should. In terms of the group, I think I've been so lucky in my career to have teams going back to my time at LMU. Where all the great teams have the same hallmarks, and one of them is, the how well they get along together. Like the group gets together and they just generate their own energy. We were in a restaurant the other night. We were out. I think it was maybe it was in Philadelphia. We had just beaten VCU. I was pretty worried about the letdown going to LaSalle. Tough game, long road trip. And we go to dinner, and I thought we were going to get kicked out. I mean, they were so loud with each other, and they're laughing and arguing and joking. No one has a phone. And I looked around at my wife, and I said, we're going to be fine. Like, you just look around, like they bring their own energy. They care about each other. They enjoy each other's success. They're emotionally invested in each other. It's so hard in today's climate to get guys to commit and invest in team and put team over self-interest, right? Like to not just play for stats, but to play to actually win and to care about winning and care about your teammates and be invested and committed. And they are. And I've been lucky to be a part of teams that have won a lot of championships, going back before NES State to LMU. And, all that stuff is great. But like what you remember most on those teams is like, the bus rides, the planes, the hotels, the meals, the laughs, the jokes, the championships themselves is like, it's a great moment, but it goes away, and what you're left with is really like,
the stories.
Who you did it with. Yeah, the stories, the laughs, the ability, and all the great teams I've been a part of, when they get together, the energy level explodes. Like when I walk into the film room on a daily basis, I can hear them already like a crescendo of noise. You go into practice, because it's a long season. It's a long ass season. I mean, we start in June. And I mean, we're basically 8 months in. And that's, if you don't like each other, that's a hard deal.
Hey, what do you like in practice? How do you describe yourself? Because to me, you're a complete player's coach. Now, again, I see your relationship with Robbie, and I'm like, there's no coach I've ever seen with a relationship like that, ever. Yeah. Are you jumping guys a decent amount? Like, how would you describe your coaching style in practice?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I've never been asked that one before. That's good. I would say like my goal in practice and my goal in general, like, is to create a work environment where there's incredibly high standards and it's demanding, but that there's incredible support, encouragement, and guys know that they're loved and cared for. Like, we're not blitzing guys for every mistake they make. Yeah. But we are holding guys to a high standard, effort, attention to detail. We're going to do it. If I don't think guys are giving effort, if guys aren't attentive to the details, if guys aren't focused, I can be challenging to them. But I want guys to know, hey, look, we're here to teach. I'm not here, you wouldn't walk into a math class and, a guy gets a problem wrong and I'm MFing the guy because he got the problem wrong. Like, I am never going to like disrespect guys or or insult people, but I'm going to go at them. They know when they walk in, hey, we're going to have super high standards, going to be highest levels of accountability. But you're going to be encouraged, supported to play through mistakes. We're going to teach you. We're here to teach. We're teachers. I think coaching is teaching. And I want them to feel that when they walk into practice. But I don't want them, to think, oh, I just come into practice and it's just whatever I want to do. Like, no, we're going to work, and it's going to be very detailed. It's going to be quick pace. We're not going to be here forever, but we're going to come in and we're going to get productive work done. I'm a huge believer in, that's how you get good. Anything you want to accomplish, you got to stack into it. We're going to stack days. And so in practice, I'm not screaming and yelling and turning over ball racks and punting balls for sure. But if guys aren't giving it, are they running? Are guys, are guys getting pulled out of practice? Yeah. Am I holding guys to a standard and challenging guys when they're not ready to go? 100%. Because you have to have a standard and accountability for how you're going to play, how you're going to operate. And everything we do is designed to get our guys to compete and then to do it together as a team. That's our North Star. Compete together, because you control those things. How hard you compete and how together you are takes no talent, takes no ability. We can control those two things, and everything we do in practice is designed to ladder us into that and to ladder us into competing and doing it together as a team. And anything that falls short of that, we're going to certainly hold guys. And we do it in film too. We do a ton of film, and we're going to hold guys accountable. And Robbie sets a great tone there because he lets me coach him. And Rob doesn't mess up much, but when he does, and he knows, and I'll get on him, and he takes it in film.
Does he fall asleep? Does he ever doze off?
No, Rob's dialed in, man. He doesn't. He got it hard today though, because they showed on we played St. Bonaventure on ESPN2, and they showed I guess our assistant gave him when Rob FaceTimed and committed to us. Yeah. And there's a picture of him. He looked so goofy. And we held that, and the guys were dying laughing. I saw it when I watched the game afterwards. That's just a picture. And I
you had never seen it?
I was crying laughing at how goofy he looked in that picture.
We got to get
like
that.
A short haircut.
We need that. We need to get that out on social media.
Oh yeah, we can do that. That'd be no problem to get that out. I can get that to you guys, no problem.
Good.
All right, last thing I got for you,
Sure.
Schertz, and then we'll let you get back to watching the Seahawks and the Rams, because you need to prove to your guys that you actually care about football.
I will. New leaf.
Well, what's the one thing that you guys really need to improve on here to kind of get to the next step? So it's not just competing for an A-10 championship. I think you have bigger goals versus what this team can possibly be. How do you get to the point where we're talking second weekend, we're talking deep run, we're talking being able to make some real noise when it comes to March?
Yeah, I think it's I would say if I had to pick one thing, we've got to flip the possession game more than it's been in league. Like I think in modern basketball, I wouldn't have said this even 3 years ago, so probably contradicting anything I said prior, but I think the two things that drive winning are shot quantity and shot quality. And I would say shot quantity maybe even trumps shot quality. And there's 4 mechanisms to generate an advantage, right? You have taking care of the ball, not turning it over, forcing turnovers, defensive rebounding, and offensive rebounding. Those are the mechanisms to generate advantages in the possession game. I think we have to be better in the possession game. Like we lost the possession game to Duquesne by 12. We gave up 17 offensive rebounds. We got 9 of our own. We turned it over 16 times. They turned it over 12. That's minus 12 in the shot quantity. You very rarely win those kind of games. We've had a couple games like that where we haven't been great in the possession game. If I had to pick one thing, and obviously I'm taking 4 things in there because there's 4 different aspects of it, but that's an area going down the stretch that I think we have to clean up as a team in conference if we're going to accomplish what we hope to. We have a super ambitious group. There's no question, a lot of like-minded guys, but they know, and I think that's what we're trying to drive home is if we want to do what we want to do, we've got to be better in the shot quantity. Our shot quality piece is elite on both ends of the floor. I mean, that's why we're number 1 in the country in effective field goal offense and defense. The last piece tying it all together is going to be shot quantity. We got to be better there.
All right. Well, the 19-1 St. Louis Billikens. Good luck this week. You get GW on Tuesday at home. Dayton, I believe, on Friday. Big week, but huge. Every week is a big week now for the Billikens. So, Josh, yes, always good seeing you, man. Always good having you on, and good luck the rest of the season.
Hey, appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me on. It's always a blast. Rob, Jeff, enjoy you guys. You know that. And look forward